So I'm on a calorie deficit right now. And on this calorie deficit, things that, I still typically enjoy, burgers, pizzas, cookies, chocolate bars, I like them. But on this calorie deficit, I know that I can't have them as often. And knowing that I can't have them as often, I want them more. I want to, go to my favorite restaurant more often. I want to enjoy and devour a chocolate bar more often. Why? It's because the mind subconsciously wants things that it can't have. It's this theory of scarce or luxury items, and that's how brands do such a good job in marketing luxury items and make them more appealing to us because they're more rare, more expensive, more hard to come by. And I'm going to walk you through in this video how I get through the feelings, the urges, and more importantly, the thoughts that arise when I want something I can't have while I know I'm in a state of restriction. So during the time that I am in now, during a calorie deficit, especially the longer and deeper that you go, you start craving more and more cookies and donuts, fast food, restaurants and things of that nature. And when you crave these things, especially when you are in a restriction, I almost start to think that these things are going to disappear. I need to have, my favorite burger today because tomorrow it might not be there. Right? I need to have my favorite Kit Kat chocolate bar or cookies and cream Hershey bar today because tomorrow I might not be able to get it. Tomorrow it might not be there. And when these thoughts arise, I remind myself that, okay, I need to get through this phase, this stage of my life. And I remind myself that these things, all my favorite things that I'm restricting myself from for a period of time are still going to be there. It's the people that they can't get through these stages or they can't restrict themselves for a certain time that start thinking to themselves, oh, it's not going to be there anymore, so I need to have or I need to enjoy it one more time, and then one more time, and then one more time, and then it just becomes you're not working or you're not getting anywhere near or closer to your goals because you just have this one more time mentality and it just becomes an addiction at that point. Right? It's the same thing with luxury cars, luxury women, luxury, what other luxury things are there? Just designer brands and things like that. Luxury clothes. We want them more, but they're no different than a plain Versace t-shirt versus a plain H&M or Zara or Walmart t-shirt. They do the exact same thing. They serve the exact same purpose, but for some reason, one is more appealing than the other. And sure, it's a little bit different with, satiating and versus sweet foods. Obviously, you're going to prefer, if you have a sweet tooth, some ice cream, or if you have like a nice savory tooth, a burger over chicken breast, over broccoli. I'm not saying that aspect is ever going to change because our bodies are designed to crave those highly palatable and delicious savory foods and calorie dense foods over foods that are bland and boring. But the way that you can subconsciously and psychologically trick yourself is to understand why you are craving these things during a specific time period and remind yourself that these things aren't going away. You're still going to, if your goal is to lose, 30 to 50 pounds, say for an example. After you start losing, you start, January 1st, I'm going to lose 50 pounds by July 1st. In that 6-month period, your mind is going to constantly be telling you, oh, we need to eat this. Oh, we need to eat that. Oh, I want this more. I'm craving this more. And if you can observe these uncomfortable and tempting thoughts that arise and just sit with them, then you're going to be a lot more successful than the person that always succumbs to their temptations. So how do you overcome these temptations? And it's with any other temptations that arise. It's all temptations are the same thing. It's, shopping addictions. Oh, I need to get this, women, I need to get this makeup right now. But I'm in debt. I need to spend $1,000 on a purse, but right now I'm in debt, but I want it right now. You realize these temptations, these thoughts that arise within you. You pull back and step away, pull your mind out of, I'm like right here as a human being. I step outside of my body and I look at myself from a third person point of view. And I notice and I realize, okay, I'm not in the situation to be able to afford this. I'm not in the situation to be able to eat this right now. But I know I will be one day. So I just need to wait for that time being. And then I'll be able to indulge in set thought, set desire. Right? Because all it is when we desire these foods that are satiating, that are calorie dense, that we know are going to extend our journey. All it's going to do is just going to, keep you on this journey for a longer period of time. And that's why for me, it took me such a long time to break through this plateau of going from 10%, going from 12% body fat, to now stepping into single digits. Because during this time, my hunger is extremely high. My ghrelin, my leptin, all these hormones, when you're stepping into single digit body fat percentage, are more pronounced. And your body, at least mine, and most people that have gone to this level of leanness, will be able to relate to this. Your body is, and your mind is playing tricks on you constantly, thinking that, oh, okay, we need to eat this now, we need to enjoy this now. But all that's going to do is just prolong your journey, and that's why it's been so difficult for me. And I didn't understand, why is it taking me so long to get into single digit body fat percentage? Yes, you have to be a lot more dialed in. Yes, you have to be a lot more strict. Yes, you have to be a lot more precise with your actions and your habits. Your sleep has to be super dialed in. Your nutrition has to be super dialed in. But also mentally, you have to be on another level. Like mentally, I have to step into another realm of understanding myself, of understanding my temptations, my thoughts, that it's like going into, single digit body fat, I've realized is an entirely different game. It's like an entirely different mindset that you have to enter, and self-awareness that in, I don't know, even in like the last like 3 months, I've not become a different person, but my actions have been so much more, I've been so much more aware of my actions. And I think everybody should experience trying to get to single digit body fat percentage, or at least sub 12% body fat, because the amount of self-awareness that you will, that you, that it takes to reach this level is like nothing else that it compares you with. You have to be so much more aware of what you are doing to get to this level. And this is why I love what I'm doing, is because it forces you into an uncomfortable place. And overall, just like dieting, losing fat, just becoming a healthier human being is such a great such a great experience that you can go on, because it forces you to be uncomfortable. It forces you to put yourself into a state where you have to be aware of your thoughts. You have to be aware of your actions, because there is no drifting when it comes to dieting. There is no just shutting off the brain and just living life like 99% of people do. Because 99% of people, they simply just turn off their brain once they reach a certain age and live life on autopilot. They do the same things, they have the same thoughts, they never have or go through any sort of challenges, they never put themselves into an uncomfortable state. And when you put yourself into an uncomfortable state, especially physiologically, where your body is constantly fighting against you, you turn into a completely different being. You constantly have to be making decisions based on future goals. And at the end of the day, man is a goal-striving being. And most people, they feel some sort of depression, they feel some sort of emptiness because they have no real goals that they're striving towards. Once they get a comfortable job, they get married, they have some kids, they just live on autopilot. Because they're scared to dream, they're scared to put themselves into an uncomfortable state, they're scared to, think of and put themselves through something that might challenge them even just a little bit. And being constantly aware of your thoughts, your emotions, your hormones as they're arising, it's an experience that unless you go through it yourself, you can't really, I could describe it to you as much as I can, but you have to experience it once in your life, at least. You gotta get shredded once in your life as a man. Come on, how are you gonna lie in your deathbed and lie there knowing that you were fat your entire life, and that you couldn't just lock in for, depending on, obviously on your situation, but it could be from anywhere between 6 months to 3 years. You couldn't lock in for that time period because you were so lazy that you didn't experience the pinnacle form of your being. What is the most pinnacle form that you can sculpt? And that's why bodybuilding is such an amazing sport. And just overall, you don't even have to be a bodybuilder. You don't need to pack on a shit ton of muscle, but just sculpting your body into its into its best form through nutrition, through self-control, through learning about yourself is an experience that you have to go through at least once in your life, I think, because it teaches you so much about yourself that you would never learn, you would never go through if you have not put yourself into this uncomfortable state. And I'm not saying you got to compete, you have to get so lean and so uncomfortable to like, sub 5% body fat where you're just like basically on the verge of death because you're so skinny, you're so malnourished. But at least, like get sub 12% body fat and just experience what it really truly feels like to be hungry. And like this video isn't just me rambling. This video is going to have a specific title of, how to battle the psychological aspects of hunger and why it's important to put yourself through those uncomfortable states of those psychological hunger cues. Because not only do you learn more about yourself as a human being, not only do you see what you're capable of when you are at such, or who you truly are when you are at such an uncomfortable state of hunger, because most of us, we've experienced being hangry. People are hangry and their self-control just goes out the window. You need to put yourself into an uncomfortable state of hunger to really see who you are as a person. See how you treat other people. See how you treat, if you're a man watching this, see how you treat your wife when you're hungry. See how you treat, your kids when you're in a state of hunger. See if you can have some self-control when you are fighting physiologically against your body. Your body is throwing you all these signs of hunger, starvation, and whatnot. And you still got to keep your cool at work. You still got to keep your cool while you're around your wife. You still got to keep your cool in social events. See if you can do that. Put yourself into that uncomfortable state. Put yourself into a state of real hunger and see what kind of a person you are. Do you have self-control or do you let your anger get the best of you? Because most of us, when we get angry, we lose our shit. We start feeling these emotions of anger, and then we put them on and portray them and just release them on other people. And this is why I think, at least for myself, I have not gone angry at a single other human being in, I would say, like 3 years, maybe even more. Ever since I started, when I did my first fat loss journey or cut, calorie restriction, it taught me a lot about myself, but this time I wanted to go a layer deeper. Anger is a normal emotion to be felt by humans, right? You can scream, go release it some way through the gym, or through some sort of martial arts if you do that, or some sort of physical activity. Obviously, you don't want to keep it built up inside of you because that's when it's going to explode one day. Go for a walk, cool down. But so many of us lack self-control and the awareness of when these emotions arise that we end up hurting other people because we lash out on them. Imagine how much of a bitch you have to be when you're angry to portray that anger onto another human. come on, like learn how to have some self-control. Learn how to be civilized, and sure, you can be angry, sure, you can have emotions, because emotions are part of the human experience, but you have to learn and have the self-control and maturity to understand which emotions you keep inside of yourself, which emotions you can share and experience with other human beings, like love, laughter, joy, and which emotions you just have to muster up and keep inside of you, feel for yourself, or learn how to direct them in a different way. And this is one of the beauties of being hungry, of psychologically experiencing hunger, because it amplifies everything. I literally look forward to going to sleep just to wake up to have breakfast. That's how hungry I am. And it's a beautiful thing because my breakfast is so bland. I have rice, eggs, some tomatoes, and a banana with honey. And do you know how amazing that breakfast tastes every morning? I step inside of this like feeling that I'm like a child in a candy factory and experiencing the most sensations out of food. Nowadays, most people eat just to eat, and they're like, oh yeah, that was good. And then their dopamine is so fried nowadays that they can't experience what real good food tastes like. Like, I'm literally licking my plate clean because, well, one, I'm hungry and I just want to get every drop in calorie I can. But also, number two, like, even just like one simple grain of rice tastes so good. And like, I'm so grateful for it and I don't want it to go to waste. But it literally, like, I've totally reset my like baseline for because food obviously brings us dopamine, because dopamine is a chemical that is released in our mind that says, yes, this was good, let's keep doing it. So when that dopamine is released, and I've basically reset it from the just boring, bland foods that I eat. Well, I wouldn't say boring, they're amazing. It just amplifies the sensation of food. And then when I do have cheat days, cheat meals, go out with friends to restaurants, enjoy ice cream, like, you think that ice cream tastes good? Wait until you're in a calorie deficit for 3 to 4 months and you're at sub 12% body fat. Imagine how good ice cream tastes then. It's an unexplainable feeling. How good actually food can taste when you've like reset and brought down your base level of dopamine for food. So I encourage you, put yourself into an uncomfortable state of hunger. You are going to experience a lot of things, a lot of emotions are going to arise. Your mind is going to play a lot of tricks on you. You are going to feel that some food is scarce, and it's okay. That's one of the hacks that I can say, that if you are on a weight loss journey right now and you know the foods that you're going to have to avoid or restrict or limit, just remind yourself they're still going to be there when you've changed from a restricted amount of food that you're eating to maintenance. And then obviously if you eventually ever want to build muscle into a slight surplus, they're still going to be there. All those foods, all your favorite restaurants, they're still going to be there at that same, they're still going to be there. Whatever phase in life you're in, whether you're in a restricted phase, whether you're in a maintenance phase, or whether you're in a surplus phase, they're still going to be there. But the way to get through it while you're in a restrictive phase is to understand why you're craving it, is to recognize the thoughts that come up and remind yourself, hey, my favorite burger joint is still going to be there once I'm done this. I just want it now because my mind is subconsciously telling me that I won't be able to get this, and that I won't be able to get this right now. It wants and craves it even more. Remember, we crave what we can't have. So, I encourage you to be more aware of your thoughts, be more aware of the emotions that arise when you put yourself into a state of hunger, and to embrace the hunger, embrace the suck, because it's an amazing journey to go on. It's one that will teach you so much about yourself, more than you ever thought you knew about yourself. You think you know yourself now? You think you know how you react to situations now? Wait. Just wait. Because at the end of the day, what are we here for? We're here to experience, we're here to procreate, we're here to, more importantly, grow closer to God. And how do we grow closer to God? Is by growing closer and understanding ourselves, because we are just an extension of God. And the way that we understand ourselves is by putting ourselves through these experiences and situations to fully grasp who we are as humans. What are our likes? What are our dislikes? How we react in certain situations, how embarrassment feels, how hunger feels, how love feels, how everything feels. I hope this video helped. I hope you got some value from it. And if you did, share it with somebody else who's going through a restrictive phase of their life right now, trying to lose fat, and subconsciously and psychologically is dealing with these issues. And this is the best way to get through them. Subscribe if you're new. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. And I'm going to leave you like I always do. Create more than you consume. Serve others. Love everyone. That is the CSL way. Peace.